Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thank you for joining me. I have my trusty iPad here with a sort of an update to the text messaging thread that I've been having with my local dealership here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I thought I would take you guys along for this update. It doesn't really give much information. However, he did present me with some comfort, if you will, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So where we left off originally a few videos ago is, I had a meltdown in that mentally I was having a hard time understanding how a car can be sitting at a rail yard for months and months, and nobody's getting concerned about, the vehicle getting lost or misdelivered or somehow, something getting messed up on with it. So it's amazing because, and this is how you can tell that you have a decent dealer. First of all, he said, I'm sorry the transportation is taking longer than originally anticipated. The vehicle, as you can see below, is being tracked and we know exactly where it is. And he says, I'll send you some pictures that I take with my phone from my screen so you can see exactly what we see. Every update and the date it was done, the delayed ETAs, etc. Exactly where the vehicle is currently sitting is in those, the delayed ETA where the vehicle is currently sitting, etc. So he sent me 3 images. They're very fuzzy, so it's really hard to tell. This is a map of the north. I'll zoom in a little bit. It's not very good, but I'll kind of bring it in here. That right there is a map of the northeastern part of Lawrenceville, Georgia. This little doohickey right here is apparently where the rail yard is, where my car is sitting, as denoted by that picture. And then also it shows the transit between Michigan and Georgia, the train that it took to get there. I do have a VIN number, so I guess I can be proud of that. I have a VIN number. The model is a 2023 Chevrolet Bolt EUV Premier. The order number matches what I originally ordered, and that's it. That's all we have. And then on the last page, it kind of shows you who's signed. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's essentially lists who did what action at what date and what time. So really cool. I thought that kind of settled my mind down that they have a bead on my car and that it's not going to get lost, stolen, or whatever else. I mean, you got to put yourself in my shoes, I guess, in this case. And this is what I kind of told him in the message here too, is I'm viewing this from, I order a package from online somewhere and it gets to me or it doesn't get to me. Let's say it doesn't get to me, but then neither the buyer neither the seller nor the shipper or whatever, if they're the same company, then that's fine. But none of them are responding. None of them are telling me any details. I mean, in my mind, it's like, okay, you shipped the car, right? Yeah, we shipped the car. Okay, it's on its way to the dealership. Okay, great. Buyback coordinator is saying November 12th. It's December 15th today. And I'm thinking to myself, the car's been stolen. The car's lost. It got driven off into the ocean. It's sitting at the bottom of a gold mine somewhere. The craziness that comes with a very expensive package not having been delivered. So he kind of settled my mind and showed me this and showed me where it's at. And I'm going to trust that they know what they're doing. So, I did ask for an ETA, and there's no way to know. But what's amazing is that he says here, so I did say, I did notice a delay on the ETA, and I asked him, I said, what's next? Could this car sit there for the next few months, maybe even a year? And he said, This is what he says, and I quote this: "I very much doubt the vehicle will be there for months and months. We have been receiving a lot of new cars these last few weeks, and most of them come from that rail yard. Maybe the rail yard is just backed up with inventory that they need to sort and shuffle through and ultimately deliver to the region. That rail yard supplies many, many dealerships in that region, so for us to have received as much unexpected inventory in recent time makes me believe other dealerships are expecting the same exact thing as we are." So, I mean, that tells me that first come, first serve. Um, if they're backed up and they're just sending vehicles out, then so be it. It's just sad that nobody can tell me if it's going to be days, weeks, months. I mean, he's saying it's not going to be months and months. So, you know, I don't think I'll get it before Christmas, that's for sure. And I don't think I'll get it in 2022, which kind of sucks for me because I was really, really hoping to have it by now. You know, I even told him, I said, "I certainly hope you're right." And I told him, you know, I appreciate his patience and all of his help during this super frustrating time. And that's pretty much it. To know that I have a contact at a dealership like this who's willing to not just communicate with me via text message, but his responses are super, his turnaround is really fast. He'll get back to me within 15, 20 minutes in most cases. Otherwise, he'll send me a text saying, "Hey, I'm with a client. I'll get back to you later on, or I'll call you later," or whatever. So he's really good at that. And the fact that he took the time to send me, you know, pictures, he took these with his phone and sent them. It really kind of gives me an insight into what the car has been facing as well. But obviously, there's questions like, is this car exposed to the elements? You know, is it in a rail yard sitting outside, exposed to, you know, dirt, dust, wind, hurricanes, ice, you know, rain, sleet, hail? You know, it's Georgia, right? So I don't have that information, but that's going to be one of the things I look at when I go pick up the car, is what the condition of the paint looks like, what the windows look like, if there's any, you know, damage to them, because every bit of damage that's done to that car, I'm going to expect compensation for it. You know, this is one of those things where when I bought my car, it was brand new. It rolled off the semi trailer that morning, the 2020 Bolt EV that I had, the Premier that I surrendered. It was brand new to that morning. It arrived. It had 3 miles on it, and that car didn't even go through the process that the dealer had, because typically what they do is they receive inventory, they'll peel off all the paper or whatever that's stuck to it. You know, they'll pull out whatever. They'll make sure that um, the EVSE is in the trunk. They'll make sure that the owner's guides are in there and make sure that everything for the car is as it should be for sale. And they'll also make sure that any accessories that were purchased during the order process are put into the car. And I remember I had to wait for, I think, an hour, for two reasons. One, I was doing a trade-in. I was doing a trade-in on my old diesel Jetta that I was essentially trading in for this car. So I had to deal with that paperwork, and then I had to deal with the financial paperwork for this. So there was a wait. But then after all of that was processed and I was approved and everything was taken care of financially, I then I waited outside and I literally sat on the curb. I remember for probably another 45 minutes because they didn't even get to wash the car, and they were apologizing to me because they didn't get a chance to charge it, and I think the car was only at 70% or something like that. And I remember telling them, I'm like, "Hey, I have a level 2 charger at home. Don't worry about the charging. I want to get out of here because I've been here all day." And so that was that. They you know, kind of in haste, they were like, "Oh, we don't like doing this. We like giving the batteries charged to 100%." And I'm like, "Well, that's probably not good." But whatever. So during that whole process, the car was, in their little shop area getting inspected and prepared and washed. They did wash it. They vacuumed the insides out, and they put some kind of a spray in there that really punched out the new car smell, like made it stronger. Um, because I remember sitting in it and it was really overwhelming. I had to drive home with the windows open to air it out a little bit. But suffice it to say, that whole process took, however long it took. And I feel like this is probably one of the hardest things that I had to go through, and I know you guys have heard me say this before. I lose my head every time I think about it. So this video wasn't about, I was trying really hard not to show emotions or not to blast anybody, or how they do things. But this is a really, really like tough situation to be in. I mean, if you're looking at this from GM's point of view, they have um, a legal obligation to cater to customers who are affected by um, a recall of this magnitude, especially one that has caused, loss of property, people's homes burned down, people's cars burned down, and this got a lot of visibility in the EV world as well as across the entire automotive industry. But where are you going to get the batteries from? Like, you have to replace the batteries. Where are you going to get the batteries from? Nowhere. They're not being manufactured, not being made because of a design issue that has to be fixed first before it can be sent to manufacturing, before it can be, um, placed into an order or a recall or whatever. And then they had to do a stop sale because all those batteries had to go to cars that were waiting for the battery to be replaced. I mean, this was a nightmare from the word go. And I kind of, at this point, 6 months into being without my Bolt EV, you know, it's, I don't know if I feel envy or if I feel just insane jealousy, or what it is that, you know, the people who have kept their cars and are waiting for a battery replacement, I feel are in a much better situation than I am. Because, honestly, I could have parked my car out there in the grass, in the yard where I, record the videos at night and charged it during the day while I was awake or whatever when I wasn't driving it, or just not charge it at home and charge it at the level 3 station that's, I don't know, 20 minutes away. I had options. The problem is I didn't know any of these options existed before I moved. And another detail was that I couldn't find a carrier that would transport my Bolt EV across the country because there was a high risk of, fire during transport. And that goes back to that video that I recorded where I was turned away from a parking structure in California. I tried to park in one of those public structures that you pull in and you kind of drive up, and they said, no Bolt EVs. And I was like, what do you mean no Bolt EVs? Where am I supposed to park? He said, not my problem. That's literally the response I got to needing to park. Where do I park? That's not my problem. So there was a lot of like side effects from this recall that have also caused a lot of hardship, caused some problems. And I remember I had to take a shuttle bus to the airport when I was traveling because I couldn't leave my car at the airport, or I couldn't leave my Bolt EV at one of those long-term parking lots that are on the outskirts of airports. So it's one of those things where you have to like take a step back and realize, my God, this one issue wasn't just one issue, it was 30 issues rolled into one. And had I known in June of 2022 what I know now in December of 2022, I probably would have kept the car. And here's what I would have done. I would have flown out here Memorial Day, because we came here in June. I would have flown out here Memorial Day. I would have made sure that the house was ready for my wife and son. I would have flown them out here. It would have been me and our dog Duchess, and we would have done the road trip, because I wouldn't have asked, an 8-year-old at the time and my wife to drive across the country in the Bolt EUV, knowing that every hour and a half to 2 hours we would have to stop for an hour and a half to charge. And also, I wasn't sure what the charging infrastructure looked like across the lower 48s, the lower part of the lower 48s. Let me rephrase that. The southern part of the lower 48s. I knew that it was great in California and into Arizona, but then I wasn't sure what it was going to look like the further east we went. And I guess I could have looked it up. Plug share is a thing. I could have looked it up, but I didn't, and I felt like I was on overload because I had to pack a house up. I had to pack my office up. I had to, close down leases, sell a house, blah, blah, blah. And I got to the point where I just didn't want to deal with it, and it was easier for me to just say goodbye to my Bolt EV. And in some ways I regret it, because right now I have nothing else to fill that regret with. In other ways, I am glad that I got to order a 2023 EUV with so many more features and functions that the other one didn't have. The sight and sound package, just the general refresh of the interior, the power seats. There's a lot of little bells and whistles that will make the ownership of this vehicle much more, I guess my return on investment will be a little bit more amplified in the end with this car than the last one. So I guess I just have to hold on. Moral of the story is, if you're watching this and if you're in a similar situation as I am, and the videos that I recorded in the past, like pre-June and forward, and pre-June and back, I would say if they resound with you, then just know that all you can do is hang in there. Use the contact information that you've been given from your buyback coordinator. When you're feeling frustrated, try to come off of it. Put your mind at ease, knowing that you're not alone, and do it in a way that will allow you to recenter yourself and reach out to these people. They're understanding. Well, they are mostly understanding, at least in my experience. I haven't had anybody, tell me to pound sand or anything like that. The dealership, in the beginning, from the beginning, has been a great experience. I met the guy in person, and he placed the order with me, and from that point forward, it was a decent experience. Prior to that, it was horrible. Doing stuff over the phone and trying to figure out what was what, man, that was a bad idea. So, in any case, I feel like at this point, I've beaten a dead horse. That's about the update that I have, and I will continue updating you guys as this unfolds. I don't expect anything before Christmas. If they do manage to get the car here before Christmas, there's going to be some serious celebration, and I can't even imagine what that's going to feel like, but I'm sure it'll feel pretty great. So in the meantime, go down below, leave me your thoughts. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to spend it here with me, and as always, thank you for watching.